full name?
Jeffrey Ronald Bonello,
Okay, where are you from?
Huntington Woods, Michigan.
Okay. How old were you on September 11th, 2001?
September 11th, 2001, I was, let's see, 40, no, 30,
You were 38 when you had me, so had to be.
I was 38 years old.
Okay. You might have actually been 37. Anyways. What do you recall about life before 9/11?
Life before 9/11 was 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 very good. Remember that traveling involved some security measures, but there wasn't a widespread sense of panic. You'd go through security in an airport. There wasn't a real big fuss. Passengers were allowed to greet arriving, or other family members were able to greet arriving passengers. So there was a lot more flexibility and latitude in travel, particularly in airports. Much less alarm and concern about and caution about the things that could happen in our life before that key terrorist moment and some of the other terrorism things that have taken place since then.
What do you recall about terrorist behavior before 9/11?
Before 9/11, it really seemed that terrorism always took place off our shores. So there were some awful examples of terrorism that took place elsewhere in the world. Probably the worst of which that I can recall was in Munich during the Olympic Games, where there were a number of Israeli athletes that were killed in an awful terrorist attack. But prior to that time, it never really touched American soil, so it always seemed largely like clearly a problem, but mostly someone else's problem, so to speak.
Did you ever visit any of the locations of the 9/11 attacks? What do you remember about them?
Yeah, I did. I was in New York a little bit over a year ago and had a chance to visit the site of the former Twin Towers and the new memorials that are built there, and then the new One World Trade Center that's being built there, and it's an extremely touching moment to see some of the firehouses that have been decorated with memorials to those that fell in responding to the attacks on the World Trade Center, and also seeing a pretty stirring moment of approaching the monument there, the 9/11 memorial, and the fountains that are there. There's a real sense of emptiness in space that probably mirrors very much the way families, and to a greater extent all of us as Americans, probably feel about the people that died that day.
Okay, how did you find out about the attacks? What were you doing at the time?
I was working in Auburn Hills, working for a large French international company, and we had a meeting and a conference call, and somebody sort of came running as we left the meeting room and said, come quickly, come look at the television. They said that a plane had hit the World Trade Center, and so it was just impossible to believe. And as we watched what was happening, we wondered whether it was accidental or what happened. It wasn't obviously till later in the day and the days after that we really understood the full scope and magnitude of that attack that was planned that day.
What were your first feelings or emotions when you heard about the attack?
I was worried first for my family. My wife was pregnant with our now 14-year-old, with you, and so I was really worried if everything was okay, and whether this is something that was going to take place on a nationwide basis or just at a couple of key targeted locations. So that was the first thing that ran through my mind, and so I talked to my wife several times, to your mom at that time. And then I also had a responsibility for a couple of employees that I had were traveling. I was supposed to travel the next day to a large Toyota executive event in San Antonio. And I had two of my employees already traveling. One was on the way to Mexico. His flight was diverted to Georgetown, Kentucky, or Louisville, and another employee of mine was in Mexico. So I had to get hold of them and calm them down. I had to contact their closest relatives and let them know that I had talked with them, that they were okay, and I had to scramble to make travel arrangements in order to try and help them get back home.
Were you with other people when you heard about the attacks, and what do you remember about sharing the moment with them?
It was really pretty devastating. I mean, we were all, clearly there were more than just Americans, obviously, in that building, but for that happening for the first time that one could recall on American soil, it was very frightening. But there was also this tremendous sense of tragedy that we shared with others. We had German employees and French employees. We had a couple of employees that were actually from elsewhere in the world, but everybody was just shocked and devastated. No one could believe what they were seeing happening on the TV screen.
What is your most vivid memory of that day?
I think just the enormity of the buildings crumbling and the fire and people just running frantically covered in ash, and the enormity of the tragedy, I think, is what I remember most, and I think we all kind of knew at that point in time that something pretty serious had happened that day. It was really unlike any other kind of tragic moment that anyone had ever seen before. I mean, there were plane crashes and other tragedies that happened before, but that was clearly the most remarkable.
How did you feel knowing that you were about to bring a child into this world after this event has taken place?
Well, couldn't stop that child from coming into the universe, wouldn't have stopped, and now that I'm sitting here staring across from your beautiful face, there's clearly no way that I would have wanted to stop that. But I guess from the moment that occurred and you arrived, one of the things that I really wanted to be able to do was to be a personal force, and to have our society ultimately become a place that was safer and a place that would recover from that tragedy, learn from it, and be a place that you could enjoy a lot of the freedoms and comfort that I enjoyed growing up. So I guess I just wanted the world to be a better place. I mean, I think it's something that every parent wants, is they want their children to be easily as comfortable or as well as they were growing up, and so I certainly wanted that for you, especially after 9/11.
Thanks, Dad.